Hello, my name is Jim Moltzen, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about what is the best type of exercise. Really, the best type of exercise is the one that you do consistently, anywhere from 3 to maybe 5 days a week, whatever you're able to commit to doing. That could be walking, running, swimming, aerobic activity. My preferred is Tai Chi and qigong and other martial arts exercises, because I can do those without having to go to a gym or worry about space or special clothes or membership, and I can pretty much do it anywhere I'm able to. So that brings up the question, why would you even want to practice Tai Chi or other types of martial arts exercises for health? Well, for one thing, they've been around for anywhere from hundreds of years to thousands of years, so they've kind of proven the test of time that they do help to develop the mind, the body, and the spirit. As far as spirit goes, we're going to use the wording to be more along self-awareness, self-reflection, and basically being able to understand and see yourself as other people see you. So mind, body, and spirit is something that most people strive to have some kind of balance in their life, and through martial arts training or Tai Chi and qigong, yoga, Pilates, those type of mind and body exercise methods are great ways to develop that connection. So another thing we need to do is really take an honest look at ourselves and see what phase of our life are we in. There's this 5-element theory, which has to do with traditional Chinese medicine, which pretty much breaks our lives into five unique segments, each one having a different effect on our mind, our body, and our self-awareness. So to understand what you should be exercising, it really depends upon what you enjoy doing, but you also have to be realistic to what your limitations are. In the first 0 to 8 years of life, that's when we're just learning, we're sprouting, we're just starting to realize what life is all about. So that's really not the ideal time to be doing all kinds of weightlifting training, marathons, intensive training that you have no real experience with just because of the amount of lack of life experience. The next phase of life is from 8 to 33. This is more of the creative and the flowering time, when you can do all kinds of heavy exercises and intense workouts and not have to be worried that much that the body's going to be injured or strained from it, because the body is so much younger and it's able to adapt to the shocks and conflicts that we put it under. The next phase of life is from 33 to 58. And this is considered the fruition time of life, when everything that you did in the earlier years, as far as going to college and establishing your career, maybe starting a family, investing, it comes to bear more fruit during this time period. This is also when you realize if the things that you did in your earlier ages is going to come back to haunt you, such as old sports injuries or maybe abusing yourself with a little bit too much nightlife and partying. So when you're in this age group, you might want to be a little bit more aware of what kind of physical activity you're undertaking. The next phase of life is from 58 to 83. And this is considered the harvest, when you bring in the crops so that you can use them throughout the winter months. The same way our body works. We want to, during this time, kind of reel it back in a little bit and conserve our resources, whether that's our financial resources or the time we spend putting it out towards others. We want to be very careful how we are not going to overextend ourselves. So your exercise routine should be similar. You don't necessarily want to be running marathons or doing intense mountain climbing if your body hasn't been conditioned or trained for it. So there's always going to be exceptions to the rules. You'll see people in their 80s, 90s, and 100s being active and doing things that you would have never imagined. A lot of it has to do with what they did in their earlier years. So let's be conscious of what our body limitations are and adjust it from there. So the fifth phase is that of winter, which is death or transformation. So this would be the years from 83 to 108. Hopefully everything we've done in the earlier phases will establish a strong foundation so that when we get to this phase of our lives, we can actually enjoy it somewhat and not be consumed by health concerns or financial crisis or other things that are going to worry us that really we should have been preparing for before we got to this point. So the phases again would be 0 to 8, that would be spring, 8 to 33, that's your summer, 33 to 58 would be late summer, 58 to 83 would be autumn, and 83 to 108 would be winter. So that pretty much is a summary of the 5 different phases. So how does that relate to what kind of exercise you should be doing? Well, again, if you're in the 0 to 8 range, you're not going to be running marathons or lifting heavy weight. The same thing if you're on the opposite end in the winter phase. You're not going to be doing marathons necessarily when you're 83 to 108. Lifting heavy weight or doing high intensity training probably is not going to be the best for you at this age. So what I suggest is you undertake taking a look in the mirror, letting the ego go, and see realistically what your limitations are. Usually once we start getting into the later 30s and beyond, the body doesn't do well with shocking the joints. So any kind of intense running or jogging on hard pavement probably is not going to be the best for the joints. It's not really the muscles that you're concerned with as you keep getting older. That is part of it, but you want the joints to stay healthy. The joints are what keep you together and keep your structure sound. And when it's your joints that start to ail you, that's when you start to have a lot of chronic conditions that can affect other types of things in your health. Bad knees, bad ankles, bad back, your neck, your shoulders. These are the main joints. So if you can continue to make those stay strong and healthy without putting a lot of impact on them, then you'll probably do well into your latter years. Swimming. Swimming is a great activity. It does not put impact on the joints. Walking, as long as it's not on hard concrete and for long distances, it's probably a great type of exercise. Yoga is a great type of exercise, but oftentimes people have a hard time as they get older getting up and down from the ground. So my suggestion again is Tai Chi, which is basically yoga in motion that you practice standing, and no mat, no special clothes, just wherever you're at you can do those type of exercises. So I teach a pretty intensive regimen of stance training, or basically yoga positions that you're standing in place, but they're from a martial arts point of view. So some people call it Dao Yi, Dao Yin, Taoist yoga, Shipelge is another name for it. The main reason we practice these exercises is to develop strength in the joints by how we position the body. If the joints are in the right alignment, then the muscles will get stronger and the tendons, the fascia will be stretched. All the different body systems will be engaged if we put the joints in the correct alignment. So just to give you a demonstration of one of these movements. The very first movement has many variations. I start with my feet together. From there I step about shoulder width and then another half of that apart. I shift my weight to one side so as to line up my shoulder, my hip, my knee, my foot, all in the same plane. Just as if I was putting those parts of the body up against the wall and leaning up against the wall to make them all line up. I take my other foot and from the hip I pivot. I pivot the hip joint so that the feet make what looks like a backwards number 7. From there I turn my torso so as to get my shoulders now in the same plane as my foot, my knee, my hip, and then I'm going to roll a ball up like I'm holding a ball and bring it away from my body. So this is just one exercise where you're putting tension on all of the joints, the feet, the knees, the hips, the wrists, the shoulders, and the elbows. The spine we divided into 3 portions: the cervical, the thoracic, in the lumbar spine. So if we engage all of the joints in the proper position, all of the muscles are going to be engaged at the same time also. Or at the very least, more of the muscles than what you would probably be doing if you were just walking or swimming or doing some kind of basic training. So to do this again, I'm going to give you another variation of it. This one was with just the arms in one position. Whereas if I'm holding on to a ball, it would look like I'm holding on to a beach ball. Another posture would be to have the arms extended to one side, the other hand covering the temple. Another variation would be both arms extend out to the sides. Another variation would be changing the hand position, changing this hand position, rotating the shoulder. Again, another position. This hand bends at the wrist. This hand makes another unique hand posture. So every time I change the upper body, lower body is already set. Every time I change the hand positions of the upper body, it affects the different energy meridians that run from the fingertips all the way down to the toes. Why is that important? Well, if you look at it just from Western medicine, we want to keep the body healthy by moving as many parts as possible. With traditional Chinese medicine, they take it a few steps further. They want to understand that the energy flow in the body is open. So if we're tense or straining, oftentimes we don't have the energy moving through the body. It gets locked up, or it's not going to move as easily as it would if it was relaxed. So even with these postures where it might seem like there's some tension, I'm trying to relax the body into those positions. So again, here would be position 1, we have 2, we have 3, 4, I can hook this hand, 5, 6, I think you get the idea. So within my lineage of what I've learned with these, there's 8 distinctive sets of exercises, each one progressing to be somewhat more difficult than the last. As we continue to go through the forms and each of the exercises, again, just to give you a variation, show you the depth and the spectrum of all these movements, this would be a basic twisted stance with the arm extended up and in front. So this would be like, again, number 1. Number 2 would be here. Number 3, turn the wrists out. Number 4, turn the hands under. Number 5, again, unique hand positions, turn them over. And then again, we just keep advancing and getting to be more complicated so as to challenge the body and to challenge the mind at the same time in order to make them work together. So I hope this all makes sense. This is kind of a brief summary of a very extensive and long set of exercises that could be practiced pretty much anywhere at any time throughout your whole life. And it doesn't have to be where there's a lot of tension or shock to the body, shock to the joints, as you can continue to maintain strength, flexibility, control, and balance. These are all the different things that we need as we continue to grow old. Take care.